What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Capsule. We have a very, very special guest in the building, all the way from Nigeria. Which city?
Lagos.
Lagos. Nice. Well, this is Addy, a pioneer of the AfroBuck style, which we're definitely going to get into. I'm really interested to hear a lot about that. We also have Jenny Lou in the house in the producer's seat. Whoop, whoop. That was her. And we also have to shout out our wonderful friend Steph B for making this happen, making the connection. I think, what was the story with Steph? Did she meet you in Nigeria?
Yeah, we met in Nigeria. She came for Afropolis 2024, that was last year in November. And we met. She was part of the jury for the Afropolis gave dance exchange. And that's how we met. And she saw my piece for the first time, and she was like, "Yeah, I need to get you to London."
Yeah. Jen, what were you saying about Steph?
Yeah, no, she came back and she was just like, "I saw this guy in Lagos. Oh my God. We have to find a way to bring him to London. Like, he has to present his work here. It's so amazing." And
great.
yeah, I mean, I think, as like producers or people who work in culture, it's like you can tell when you see different works and it's like, oh yeah, it's a great work. And then when you get genuinely really excited about it and like, the world needs to see this. Yeah. So, she kind of came back with that energy speaking about you. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, she also called me as well. Like, I've got someone for your pod. You have to have him on. It's like, which days do you record? He's coming on. I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. It's like, there's certain people where it's like, not everyone can, there's certain people that if they call me and say, I've got someone, it's like, I trust them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I definitely want to talk about your piece and the work that you're doing, but let's start with the AfroBuck thing at the beginning. So can you give me and people that don't know at home, like just an overview of like, what is it?
AfroBuck is the name AfroBuck is just like the conversation starter, but if you check it really, it's actually African Krump.
Okay.
So AfroBuck is just mixing Krump, the 1% Krump that was already been made by the so-called pioneers of Eyez and Mio and all of the and the other pioneers, also mixing it with the African style, wherever African style that your body can recognize. You just put it into the dance and it kind of like has its own language. So that is what AfroBuck is really about. Okay, nice. Yeah.
Right. So it's like taking the style that kind of came from the States and then like mixing it with the stuff that you were doing.
Where
so
we're from.
Were you doing Krump first or like the different African styles first, or how did that mix happen?
Yeah, I was doing Krump first.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Krump. Then at some points, Krump was being... it's still been slept on in Nigeria where I'm from, in Lagos, but we've just been trying to see how we can get Krump on the lips of people, making videos, still no recognition, we just continue. It's a very small movement, but we saw the impact it has in our lives, and we're like, we're not going to drop this. We just want to make sure that this gets to the ends of the whole space in Nigeria as a whole. So we just continue to push, and then we decided to try something new. So we jumped on... an African song by one of the major Afro artists, Niniola, that's her name. And we did the song and we realized that we have more views and more comments on our page. So we felt, wow, this is cool. I mean, we have not done this before. I am a fellow pioneer, Nas. And that was cool for us because we felt like I think Krump is beginning to make sense right now. We have never had this kind of flow on our comment before. Even the artists had to repost it on our page. So for some reasons, we felt like, I think you're superstars right now. Let's start to make more clips. So we jumped on that and we continued to make more clips, and we realized that I think it's making sense. So we just continued to do more clips and more African sounds. We were just trying to explore the style. And that's how, before we knew it, it became what everybody's beginning to talk about. And 2019, Wave, one of the little homie under Eyez, came to Nigeria for a workshop. Okay. And it was like, I saw what you guys are doing. I love it. And he's also a Ghanaian. He's also, an African in diaspora. And it felt like, this is cool. Why don't we call it AfroBuck?
Oh, he said that?
Yeah. And we were like, AfroBuck. We don't know, because, we were just doing this with joy, and we're just enjoying the fact that Krump is beginning to, catch the interest of the people. Yep. And he said, don't you think we should call it Pioneer? Don't you think we should call it AfroBuck? And we're like, okay, cool. And that was the first time I and Wave, that's his name, Kid Eyez, and Nas, which is my homie, then we did a video together, a trio, and we used the very first hashtag, AfroBuck.
Wow.
That was how the whole thing came about. But before then, people have been exploring the same thing that we've been doing. People have been jumping to African songs, but using Krump as approach. But we were more deliberate with it. We just wanted to, make sure that this thing get to the lips of people, and we continue, and that's how the whole thing came about.
Interesting. So would you say it's more driven by like your passion for Krump?
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess the African sound that you're done is more just like that's where you're from. So just like fusing it with that.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. So with the, like you being from Nigeria, like, can you tell me a little bit about, just so I have a bit of context, also maybe for people at home that don't know everything about all the different styles or the landscapes in different places. I'm really interested in Afro dance in Africa. So like in Nigeria, what does it look like? And like, we, especially being from Europe, like a lot of times either we have like, Afro dance. I know there's lots of different styles from different countries, but we have that from Africa. Yeah. We also have, the American styles that come from America. Yeah. And like there's, pockets of places where things have been kind of changed in London or in Europe. Yeah. But it's really interesting, like being in the place where the dance style is from. Yeah. Like, so what's your experience like, did you grow up with the dance style, like the Afro dance styles, or how is the landscape in Africa?
I'll say, it's our lifestyle. First of all, Africans, we're very dramatic people. So there is little or no drama in everything that we do. Even when we talk, there is drama. When we sneeze, you see the drama. Everything.
Listen, I've seen some Nigerian, what's it called? Not sitcoms, but the what do you call that? Like the Spanish ones are like novella, like the what do you call those? The TV shows when they're like it's like a really dramatic thing and like the wife cheated and I don't know. The ones, like soap operas we would have here, like soap EastEnders or something like. My best friend when I grew up was Nigerian, and he was showing me some of these things. It's very like the Indian ones are like that as well, really dramatic stories.
So you can tell that where we're from, it's a very dramatic space, and there's a whole lot happening at the same time. I mean, my friend here, she's been to Nigeria before. She can tell you the experience, and everything is drama on its spot spontaneously, like no scripts, no cut and action. It's just going from here to this point, to this point, to this point. So we as creatives, or we as dancers, so it's kind of like easier for us to create, because you can see creation in the morning, you can see it in the afternoon, you can also see it at night. Nigeria is a place where, particularly Lagos, is a place where you come, and from your entry points, you start hearing noise, the different noise. Someone's shouting, "Are you crazy?" Or how do we say it in Pigeon language? "You the crazy," or "You the mad," or "Alpha." All of this is what we kind of like put together and put in a dance. So some people don't really know the meaning of the moves that they do, but all of them, they have meanings. Okay. All of them have meanings. But so these are like the culture. This is like our day-to-day activities, our day-to-day life that we kind of like just put into the dance. And by the time it's time for us to move our body, because our body have memories, so our body just start to remember the things that it has seen or the things that it is familiar with. So we just start to move our bodies, and then these things start to happen. And you see people creating new dance style every season. It's like it's never ending. Yeah. You've not learned this one finish, and there is another one coming out. Like, from where? They will tell you this is from this space, this from this space, and they all have community recognizing those styles. So I think that's just how it is. That's where we're from. That's the kind of place we're from. So I don't think it's something that's going to stop. It just continues to go round and round and round and round.
And is it like the people that are like dancing these type of styles, is it like, when you go out to parties and it's like kind of the teenagers or the young people, is it like, at family parties that you would have? Because I guess there's like different applications of different dance styles, like in different, like some things might be more for the young kids. Yeah. Is it like that, or like where would you first encounter these type of dances?
On the streets.
Okay, just outside.
On the street, like Lagos is a place where so much to say about Lagos. I'm so sorry,
Yeah,
but not just
good.
Lagos, but particularly Lagos.
Yeah.
You know, because Lagos is like the conversation starter when it comes to Nigeria. It's like what opens the conversation about Nigeria as a whole and at large. You know, Lagos is a place where you might be driving. I see someone having their bath in the corner. You know, just doing this, and you're wondering, like, so it's on the streets. That's where you see all of these things. And the funny thing is that there are no workshops to teach these things. It just starts to connect from one person to one person. This person can do it. Show me. And that's it. And before you know it, the whole community is doing the same style. And even the parents too can recognize those style and they can also do it. So I think it's on the streets, just on the streets.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where all these materials are from, on the streets.
Okay, interesting. I love that. And so then Krump comes into the equation. How, like, because people saw on YouTube, or how did that style come across?
Krump came to Nigeria from different point of different entry points.
Okay.
Some of the big homies who were there, who kind of like the main pioneers, who kind of like open it up for people like us to come in and become leaders of the style. I think they said there's a thing called 2BD years ago, and also before YouTube. I think 2BD or what was it called? There's another thing, 2BD before I think Opera, Opera 2BD. So these were like the places
The
where
platforms.
the platform where we were just seeing all of this, and we never had this contact of Krump. We're just saying online, we're watching from the screens. That is how we all learned it, and it became, and we also joined, the movement. And but we have people who decided who have the access, to get online, watch on YouTube, and transfer it to us. So that's how Krump came in Nigeria. Yeah.
Because was there people that were like doing workshops as well, or it's just only from watching online? And
we learned from the screen. All of Nas, Cornerstone, Bright, that is late now, blessed memory, and all of the pioneers that have been there, we all learned from the screen. And because we have something, and I don't know what it is, but we have this drive. So we watch, we learn, and we also share with others. So that's how. That Eyez have not been to Nigeria before. The only person who have been to Nigeria was Kid Eyez, and Kid Eyez came after we have generations, like 2 generations have already, had contact with Krump.
right,
So
so you've been there for a while.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And was there something that you think like why Krump as opposed to like house dance or something? Like, what is it about Krump that connected there?
Krump is since it is street and it has to do with the hood, where there is no judgment, where we want people like you. There is no segregation. So I think we can also connect with that, and because of the Krump, the Christian values that he has, and so we can also recognize with that. Like my first contact with Krump was when we went to perform somewhere, and I saw a very tall dude that came, and it was gaying off. I'm like, oh wow! I love this style, and it was that free. Like, come, I'll teach you. Very open, So I went there the first day. I loved the reception. I loved the love that I was being shown. And after the Krump session, he walked me down to the bus stop, gave me a hug, and said, "Hope to see you next Sunday." And these are the people that are. You can see them and judge them for the way they look, but they have more love to give. So that way I can recognize love in real time because I experience it on the go with no questions like, where are you from? Why are you here? Oh, you're here, come in, that kind of a reception. So when I had in contact with that, it was easier for me to bring other people in as well. Like, okay, you're like me, let's go. Let me show you where it is happening. So that is how we, kind of like had a contact with Krump. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
so it's more like, from what I'm like understanding, it's not so much like, oh, you looked at the style and said, okay, I pick that style, I pick that style. It's more the community and the feeling.
The feeling, the love being shared, or I have just this, let's share, we're sharing bread together, kind of like hair dance and pray together, done that a couple of times. So that kind of a vibe is something that you just want to be around. No judgment, no segregation, no hierarchy, and so it happened the first time, and I thought maybe it was just but it was like that consistent. So that's how we kind of like have this community, and we realized that it is the same from how Krump started in the West. So
I think that's, I don't know, for me, that's when you find really strong communities of like a style, is when it's not like the dancers are any different type of people. It's when the community is like the same types of community. It's like the same, I guess like the environment is the same to breed the different.
Exactly. Same
community.
language, same the dress code, and when you come to Krump the first day and they look at you and they see that you're not completely like them, they make you want to look completely like them. So you see someone giving you shoes, giving you a hat, giving you a t-shirt, so you can come looking up buck, the next Sunday. So when you come looking that way, like, now I like this. So it's easier for you to also practice that. It's more or less like I show you to show someone else. So that's how the whole thing start to travel. So that's why I think that's why we can also connect with the source.
Yeah, and it's really like they want to bring you in instead of just say like, oh, who, like you said, why are you here? Who are you? It's like, come in. Okay, nice. And do you feel like that is something that also is in Nigerian culture in general? Is this welcoming kind of aspect?
Absolutely. I mean, that's how Nigeria is a place where. In as much as we have a lot of bad things that have been said about Nigeria, I mean, there's a whole lot of freedom, There's so much welcoming, When you come to Nigeria, you get people calling you Oyibo, This, like when they see the white people come around, like, oh, Oyibo, they're so excited, They're like, why are you here, Oyibo? So that's what they call, the white people. But at the same time, you can tell that it's a space where they have so much to give, and they don't even know that they have so much to give in that capacity. But it just give love like it's nothing. So I think the community can also identify with that. So that is why to share is not that difficult.
To be honest, like I said, like one of my best friends when I grew up was Nigerian, and like he had like, I think he's got like 3 sisters and like his mom and dad and stuff. And when I would go to his house, it was like the most welcoming, like, thing. Because I feel like sometimes, when you go to I grew up with like friends of like lots of different cultures. And sometimes when you go to a friend's house and their family, it's like a different culture. You can feel a bit like, oh, I don't know what that food is. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what that means. But it's like, I always remember, like, since I was really young, like going to his house, and it was like the most welcoming thing. Like, come in, have this. And if I didn't know, like, okay, let me explain to you. This is this. It has this food in it. Do you like this meat? I get you this meat. And like, it was almost like I was like a special guest every time I would go, like they would really look after you. So I have good memories of that too.
That's it. That's true.
So that's the Krump kind of like aspect, and the Afro was like, it's just always there. It's not something that you like grow up and choose to learn.
No, it's always there.
So then you guys combining it was more like you're trying to push the aspect of Krump, but you just found that it like maybe sits better with you because of
where we're from and who we are.
As
an African, because this is like the example I and my friend will always use is that, we as Nigeria, we have what we call the Pigeon English. The Western people give us English, but we have what we call the Pigeon English, where more or less like patois.
I was going to ask,
So we have the Pigeon English. So Krump is like, you give us the 1% and we find a way to make it in our own way where we are more comfortable in doing the style, adding all of the things that our body can remember, all the dramas that the body has identified with while growing up until now. We just kind of like put all of that into the style, and it kind of like gives it this, this unique flavor, this smooth flavor. Because I felt like, Krump is created already. Then it's okay to exploit. To try other things with it. So we felt like, okay, we've done this. We've seen the reaction of the people. We saw the comments, and people started to love Krump more. From where we're from. And we said, okay, if they can identify with this, let's start to make more clips. And that's how we continue to push And right now is even accepted worldwide. Even the pioneer, the creator of Krump, Eyez, recently had to drop a video and also use the hashtag AfroBuck. That's what we said, okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this video. Yeah. So can you give a little context for people that don't know? So what was the video like? What did he? Because I saw you talking about this video that he was doing AfroBuck, and so it was just on Instagram, or how was it?
It was on Instagram. It was on Instagram. After many years of tagging and reposting and resharing, so people start to realize that it's not really that bad. It's just finding another space to groove. More or less like giving Krump another color. Like not talking race, but like give it another beautiful color, that kind of a thing. So that is what AfroBuck was really about. And then when he jumped on it, I remember his caption. It was like, I might be late, but finally, I'm on it. Then he used the hashtag, But then he used the hashtag AfroBuck, and all of the African Krumpers and everybody was just going to say, finally, thank you. You know?
Sick.
Yeah.
And so did you have any contact with him before that, or he just found it online, or?
He found it online. But before then, I mean, someone who is a creator of something, you might always want to tag him to let him see what you're doing. So we've always been having this tagging, like, see Krump, what you've created is now here in Nigeria. And there was a time he kind of like responded to my chat, and I was like, whoa. He responded to my chat, and I think I jumped on one of his songs, and he loved the way I get off to the song, and he asked me for permission to post it on his page. So and I said, it's fine. And they put it on his page, and I told him to give credits to Krump Nigeria. And I was like, okay, he will give a shout out, and he did that. So that was the only conversation we've had. So anything about AfroBuck, I don't think we've had none of that. So I think he saw that, okay, this thing is also something, and he decided to just identify with it.
Nice. I think that's a really good, thing that you said about giving it like a different flavor or a different. And I think, sorry, with the, like, when a style travels or spreads, I think it's important, because it's like, for me, the way you're doing it is the most authentic way you can do it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I find that in London, we have a really strong, I always talk about this, but like we have a really strong like grime culture, and like the music that comes from the UK. Yeah. And I find like that's one thing that I really love sometimes, when you see like hip hop dancers or poppers that look like they're from here, because it's like, I don't think that the best way to like represent a style is to do it like, like you're not from LA.
Okay.
So to Krump like someone from LA, it's slightly different.
It's almost impossible,
and to do hip hop like someone from New York when you grew up in London is a bit different. So I think for me, it's the most authentic way. Is like we love the energy, but we're gonna do it like Nigerians. Yeah, we're gonna do it like Londoners.
Exactly. Because our realities are different. What they're real to and what we are real to is what they're going through is not the same as what we are going through. So our realities are different. So it's okay if we can identify with our own realities. Yeah, which is how we are as Nigerians, as Africans. And we take the 1% and say, okay, thank you for this 1%, but I will do it like where I'm from.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, we can be really like nerdy about it in a way. Like, because for me, it's even stuff like, let's say in New York, right? Like a lot of people in New York will wear like Timberlands or like big shoes because it snows a lot, because the weather's bad in the winter. And it's like, that can affect the way you move when you have big shoes on and stuff like that. But we don't have so much of that in London. You know what I mean? It's like, so the way the style is going to move is really little details of like, okay, New York, also the way New York hip hop is big and heavy, like Busta Rhymes, or they have like these big heavy coats on and stuff. Okay, we don't have the same thing in London. Someone from Spain is not going to move like that. So how does the style look where you're from and what you wear and, the music you listen to? So I think it's a really cool way of looking at it, of like, okay, we're going to give it a little different flavor.
Exactly.
Can I just ask you, actually, going back about the, this is just a side thing that I'm curious about. So you said about the Pigeon English. Yeah. So there's a lot of different languages in Nigeria though, right?
A lot. Yeah. A lot of them.
So which language did you speak like growing up?
I speak Yoruba because of, that's where I'm from. Not like I speak Yoruba like I'm a Yoruba person from the West. Yeah. But I can understand and survive with it. Like,
the other languages.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So English was like, did you learn it later?
No, English, like, English is what, is
It's
normal.
alongside.
Yeah, it's
okay,
normal.
okay.
But the pidgin is like what we speak in the streets. Like, you get what I mean?
It's more like slang.
Exactly, more like the roadside slang in London. Yeah, the one in Peckham. You get what I mean? Like, you have to like listen. What are you saying?
Listen, Jenny's from Montreal, and it's like she coming here from Canada. Like, you can speak about it, but like you struggle to understand some people from different places, no?
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like the sometimes it's like same language but different dialect, or the way you use the language is like a little bit different. And you know, I always thought because like French people from France always give us a hard time, you know. But then I was like, when I came here, especially like for me, not even the slang in London, but it was more when I heard like English from Scotland. That I was like, oh, maybe this is what we sound like to them. Because Scottish people, I was really like, huh?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So you kind of, in a way, like it relate, and I think also like the way we speak, the way we live, it like reflects in our dance.
Exactly.
So you already grew up with this like idea of like, so you already grew up speaking 2 languages.
Yeah.
Or more maybe.
Yeah. I speak Pidgin. Pidgin is like the way to communicate. It's like the easy way to let you know where you're from. It's like it's quickly identify where you're from. Like how far I was. Okay. I mean, this guy, he speaks my language, so now I can, you know. So Pidgin is like our own way of mixing some of our indigenous language and also adding English to it.
So will Pidgin like sound differently depending, because like you said, you speak.
Yeah, it sounds. You hear some English inside of it.
Yeah,
but if you put your ears really down, you can understand, but it's like to throw you off balance. Maybe you can catch maybe just one word that you can use to understand what we're talking about, but you might not just understand.
So there might be like people in Nigeria that don't speak the same language as you, but like they wouldn't understand you speaking Pidgin because it's English mixed with like the wrong language for them. Yeah,
there are people in Nigeria that cannot speak Pidgin.
Okay.
I mean, those are from those who grew up in the elites, who grew up with the rich people, so to say.
Okay.
So it's only from the broke part.
Oh, really?
From the street. That's where you can learn it from.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, I don't know if it's like the same with like, say like Algerian Arabic is like French and Arabic mixed. You know what I mean? So it's like French people wouldn't recognize it as French, but it's like, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's like similar. Yeah,
I don't know either.
I don't know. You don't speak Arabic. Anyway, I don't know why I'm looking at you. French. Yeah, so you already kind of got used to this idea of mixing things. And I like what you said about, you know, you're taking the 1% of things. Like, okay, we have the English, but we're going to mix it with our thing. You're going to have the Krump, we're going to mix it with our thing. Yeah. So that's really cool. And so now that you've kind of established this style, like you said, Krump has been there for a couple of generations. Yeah. You've establishing the AfroBuck kind of style also. Yeah. Like what sort of, I guess, things are you doing with it, or like activations are you doing in Nigeria? Like, is there battles? Is there like showcases? What sort of things happen?
Right now we are, I think it's people are still beginning to wake up to this style now,
okay.
You know, because initially a lot of people do not agree with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people from Nigeria, particularly from our own community, were like, "What are these guys doing? We don't like it." Yeah, because they felt like we are kind of like, I don't know, maybe contaminating the real raw Krump. Yeah, so it was hard for I and my fellow pioneer Nas, because we continue to make more clips and more clips before our own people start to like, okay, I think this thing is actually cool. But right now, people are beginning to identify with it. So we have people jumping into it. But right now, because Krump is still being slept on in Nigeria, so it's kind of like very hard. That is why I took it upon myself and I said, okay, I think I really need to push this thing and make it really loud. So even in my piece, the creation of my piece, it was AfroBuck that I used as the approach in the dance style. It was completely AfroBuck. There's this AfroBuck element inside of it mixed with other traditional movement.
Right.
But AfroBuck is like the main source of it. So right now, people are still making more clips. We don't have battles and that much, but sometimes they know AfroBuck when they see AfroBuck. They know this is AfroBuck when they see it. So sometimes we will go to battle and like
they play
battles. Yeah, maybe Krump battle or any all-style battle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they play an African song, we just have the switch. Oh yeah, that's AfroBuck. Yeah. So sometimes we are doing it, and now it's beginning to, to really make the noise, and it's getting louder now. And also at EBS, the European Box Session.
Yeah, shout
I
out
think
EBS.
yeah. You also have I think the last time we did an AfroBuck session battle too. Just AfroBuck. So yeah, we also want to do more. But I mean, just within the capacity of what we can do, as sometimes it's self-funded, and sometimes it can be very challenging.
Yeah.
So we're just doing what we can do, seeing how we can put them on the lips of people. Maybe have collaborations, and I think that's why we have been restlessly trying to really push it. But right now, AfroBuck is here.
Nice. And so, do you have like a lot of like Krump battles and different types of battles in Nigeria?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We have sessions. We have different farms. We have a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of them. We have my farm, which is the bulls, the bullies. We have Nas farm, which is the Mad Praise farm. We have the Main farm. We have Quake farm. We have HK. We have Max Buck farm.
Okay.
We have we have quite a lot of
Nice.
them, and everybody's doing their best to what the capacity can carry, because the style, like I said, is still being slept on. So it's a fight or fight. But Krump is in Nigeria big time.
And what's the biggest like style in Nigeria?
Biggest style right now, I would say, I think it's the Afro style. I think.
It makes sense. Yeah, true. What about like outside of that? Like, is there like a lot of poppers, a lot of breakers?
Yeah, they have. Also, we have a lot of breaking.
Oh yeah,
break
I feel like
dances,
breaking is the thing that spread the biggest. Like,
yeah, I think that's also what started in Nigeria. I think that was what broke out the competition level. I think it was Battle of the Year, BOTY. So everybody.
Oh, there was a Nigeria qualifier.
Yes.
Okay,
what's happening? I mean, when we started dancing, that was the only major thing we knew about. If you can do a handstand, like whoa,
Yeah.
So I think that community is also quite huge. But right now, I think it's the Afro community that is leading.
Sure.
And that is why
makes
Krump has to also have to go into.
With that.
This is us. Let's get on there.
Nice.
I have a question
go.
about like music, because I know that, I mean, in the beginning, like, and kind of, with Krump music, like the music evolved, but kind of with you saying, okay, you started doing Krump to Afro music.
Yeah.
And like, do you have kind of music producers that are making more like kind
Mixed.
of a merge of the sounds and of the music of like
That would be sick.
what the music sounds like from the States and how that might meet with like Afro music? Or is that happening at all or not so much?
Right now, for us as Krumpers, I don't think that is happening. But right now, some of the DJs and the music producers understand how to make their songs go viral, because there's a kind of song that they will produce. They know the community that will run with it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a new Afro movement called Mara.
Okay.
Right now, it's called Mara. The song is very fast. The movement is very fast.
Right.
The song is just on repeat, just looping.
Right.
Yeah, shano, like that. It just goes back and back. And there's this community that is what they dance to. That is what that's what they specialize in.
Yeah.
So, and also for B-boy, I think right now generally, I mean, dance is becoming to come alive more in Nigeria right now. So we really do not have DJs who are interested in doing stuff for dancers, but we have DJs who are interested in doing stuff for musical artists and stuff. So we have very few DJs who will say, I want to produce a song for this dance style.
Right.
So it is on we, the dancers, to say, okay, I think I need to go and learn how to DJ or how to produce sounds and create sound that surrounds this style.
Yeah, we need to get some like, I don't know if JD Reed is still doing Krump stuff, but we need to get like some Krump producers to make some Afro remixes. That would be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even in terms of like, because you said it's kind of in terms of the language and the kind of physical expression, the vocabulary, of course it's like Krump has its basics and like foundation and whatnot. So like, do you kind of integrate, like in terms of the movement, is it really integrated with Afro movement, or it's mainly like the music thing that makes it like not a separate genre, but like it's interesting, I think, that you kind of like call it it has a separate name and a separate identity, which like you said is really cool. But I'm curious to like, because I haven't seen
the
it.
formation of it.
the form of maybe let me put it this way. Like if I can do the same AfroBuck into a non-Afro song, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just you being you. I can do AfroBuck to a non-Afro song. I can do AfroBuck to this. I can do AfroBuck to a hip hop song. I can do AfroBuck to a Krump song. I can do AfroBuck to any kind of sound. You just need to understand the rudiments. Like this is just me being me, and because of your body memories, just like what I said before, your body have a lot of things that it has identified with. So when your body starts to move, it just starts to move.
It comes out.
It just comes out.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? And I said this before one time while I was in Spain. We had this panel conversation about AfroBuck, and I was like, maybe Krump is originally finding its roots again. That is why this is coming out now. That is why AfroBuck is coming out, because some of the moves, some of the basic in Krump is we can find them in some of our African dances.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to do a traditional dance, and all I need to do just add that 1% of Krump, and it's already looking like you cannot really tell. You will tell this is like Krump, but it's very different. Because I've done workshops, and when I start to make all of this research, my friend, Nasa, what we're doing, because all through COVID, this is what we're doing. We're just testing. We're making more clips. We're exploring this time more. And we realize that this thing it's really just in us. We don't even struggle to do it. So if you give me a hip hop song, I can confidently do AfroBuck inside of it. So I don't really need the sound to make me separate the thing, or it's not really about the sound. It's about the body and me realizing who I am, as a dancer, first of all, as someone who can move, and also where I'm from. All of the things that I know in my neighborhood that I've seen. Let's take for instance now, when you come home and you get your mom a gift, in Nigeria particularly, there's this celebration of joy that she does. It's that she starts to dance, and the dance is no choreography.
Yeah.
She just starts to move her body. Say, "Oh, my son got me this. Oh, come!" And she goes to call her fellow women.
Yeah.
And I come and see what my son got for me. So all of this is no choreography. So we see them and we just like, "Come on,"
Yeah.
So all of that. Come on, it's just what you just take, and your body recognize those movements. Your body is in those movements. So when it's time for you to dance and you hear a beat, you just move to it. You just bounce to it. And I see that. I just see the similarities. Like, this is what they say, Krump, one part of the Krump basis. And it's here, it's also here. It's here, it's also here.
It's so interesting also to just think of like the intelligence of the body and what you were saying in terms of like what your body remembers and what you like, what you might know, or the things that are in your DNA and in your history, and so that I think with a lot of different street dances, or whether it's Krump or other things, even breaking, that you like, you look at videos of like people from 100 of years ago, the movements coming back. But I think there's just this intelligence in the body that maybe the conscious mind is not even involved in.
Yeah, and I think there's certain things, I talk about this a lot when I teach hip hop actually, is like there's certain things that are like universal across all dance styles.
Yes.
Like for me, like we teach the bounce in hip hop as like a basic. Yeah. But for me, it's almost funny because like I don't think the bounce is exclusive to hip hop. Every style you look at in the world, there's a bounce. It might be like, I think sometimes Afro, it's like an up bounce, like house is an up bounce, hip hop is down, breaking is back and forth. It's the same thing. It's just this rhythm. And it's like, if you apply that to whatever you're doing, it's like universal across everything. Yeah. But with this, what I was going to ask you as well, kind of off Jenny's question, with the, like if you were to teach a workshop, is it like you're kind of teaching like, okay, here's like a Krump move, here's an Afro move, and like you take the moves and play with them? Or is it like there's hybrid moves that you've mixed together? You know what I mean?
The way we teach the workshop, the way me particularly, I kind of like always open the room for people to find themselves. You get what I mean? I will show you where I'm from as African, what I can do as African with my body. Then I also let you explore what your body can do, what you've not seen your body do before. I'll also leave room for that. And how we do it is that, I will introduce Krump to you. I will tell you where Krump is from. And because I was a Krumper before, AfroBuck came about. I will introduce the Krump to you, tell you who these are the creators, these are all the 5 or 6 pioneers of Krump, and this is how Krump. This is just the basics, and then I will now start to introduce my own African style to you, and you now see the connections, and you see how it is being connected together. You by yourself, you will see the connection. Oh, okay, now I see. So that's how we do it.
Right,
definitely, I will show you Krump. I mean,
and then you kind of play from there.
Play from that, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it something that you think like could travel well, I guess? Like, could people from London, like, learn AfroBuck and like kind of keep that essence?
Yeah, sure. I mean, right now, that is why we are not resting. That is why we are trying to make all the connects that we can, meet the right people and let them see that this thing could be a thing, and it's not just for us to claim it. It just, we're introducing Krump in another way. You get what I mean? And right now I'm creating an AfroBuck piece, of like a 5-man, 4 boys and a girl, and it's strictly AfroBuck.
Is this the one that Steph saw?
No.
Oh, it's a new one.
It's another one.
Okay.
It's tied to South. So we've started the creation. By November, hopefully, we should be,
amazing,
70% done.
Do you know how long it is? The piece, I think it should be around 45 minutes. Okay.
For now, So we're also having that experiment also on the side. And also my piece, Elephant in the Room, the one that Steph saw, is also an AfroBuck piece, And so we're also trying to see how we can push, really make it a thing. Right now, it's not really a movement, it's a style right now. That's what it's becoming. So, yeah, it could be something that would kind of like change how the body structures and also make us realize that the body is really meant to move. So it doesn't necessarily what style has been boxed into, because right when we were kids, right, in our mother's womb, we all kicking. So originally the body is being created to move. So AfroBuck is just to let you see that your body is created to move, so everybody can actually dance.
Love that. And can you tell me a bit about the piece? I mean, the one that Steph saw, or the new one, but like kind of the work that you do that's like more theater and.
Elephant in the Room. Oh man, Elephant in the Room. It's how my transition started. Yeah, so it's an interesting story. First of all, it started when I got the invitation to Senegal. For the Eyez pre-selection battle. So every Krumper around the world, want to be at the Eyez in France, When it's time for the Eyez, people are prepping. All the communities are getting ready. So when we got the mail from our friends, Dexter, and he said, you know him, right?
He's dope.
So Dexter is also part of the pioneers of AfroBuck. He's one of us.
Nice.
So when Dexter gave us the invitation, after he came to Nigeria, and I and Nas with same Dexter had the same African Krump experiments, then he went back and I felt like, these guys are cool. Let me invite them. So they got the franchise to do Eyez. So they invited us to come.
So the prelim was in Senegal.
Yes. So, and I was like, wow, I mean, how do I go to Senegal? I don't have money. Back then, catching the flight from Nigeria to Senegal was like, oh no. So I had to go by road.
Oh, how long is that?
5 days.
Ooh.
And I didn't know, because when I made all the inquiry, they were like, maybe 3 days, max 3 days. So I was like, okay, 3 days, I can do it. Not that far. So I left. The festival was, I think, a 4-day or 5 days festival. I was on the road for 5 days. And I was surviving on just biscuits and coffee. Because that was my first time traveling out of my comfort zone. No.
Oh, somebody drove you? No.
A bus?
A bus.
Oh, a bus.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
And that was my first time outside my comfort zone as an artist. So I was seeing different people for the very first time, meeting new people for the very first time, and I was crossing borders. So I never knew all of the do's and don'ts when you're crossing borders. So I felt like, we're all Africans.
I want to look up what you're telling me. I want to look up the journey. I just want to see where you went.
From Nigeria to Senegal.
Yeah. I'm going to maybe put it on screen for people. Okay.
Trust me, it's a very long journey. Really long.
Okay, so you didn't know the do's and don'ts.
Yeah, so I didn't know what it is like to cross the borders. So when I asked, and they said that, no, just have your national identity card.
Okay.
Or maybe your voter's card. That could work for you. And at least better than your passport. And I was so scared. But I have my passport. But someone warned me, a friend warned me, was like, who has been traveling by road. It was like, if you go with your passport, they will charge you more. But if you show them your voter's card, they will charge you less to pay to cross to the next country.
That is a long journey.
So I was like, you see?
I'm just looking at it like, whoa. That's like what, through 1, 2, 3, 4 countries, 5 countries maybe, depending on which route you take.
Yeah. So I went through Ghana, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Ivory Coast, then Senegal. So 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
we're gonna put it on screen for people to see the.
So I started off from Nigeria. I go to Ghana. Then I started to see some certain things happening, within this, intra-African spaces where there's always a stepping aside when they hear that you are Nigerian. They were like, okay, where are you from? They check and they see that I'm a Nigerian on my voter's card. They ask me to step aside. And I was like, okay, maybe just how I look. I have tattoos and I had dreads on. I was like, maybe just profiling, Then maybe if I answer the right questions, they'll let me go. Then it continued, After I left Ghana, I got into Ivory Coast. It was the same thing. Where are you from? Nigeria. Step aside. And they let the rest people go back into the bus and they question me and I pay more. So that alone started to make me uncomfortable. So there was now this fear on the inside of me, like.
Is that because, is there Nigeria has a certain reputation, or what? What are they?
I think so, maybe, but I think it's more political than what I thought it was. Because for me, I felt like we're all same, we're all Africans. We are neighbors, So I should be able to cross. But each time they stop me and they're stepping aside, I see them saying things that are very harsh and also referring to what my government did to their government. I'm like, years ago, I'm not part of that.
Yeah, I just want to dance.
I just want to go and dance. You get what I mean? So that happened in Ivory Coast. Then I got to, after I left Ivory Coast, and I got into where I'm supposed to take my shots, and I did that. They asked me to pay more. I paid double the price because the same thing. I was just scared. I just don't want no problems. So I was just paying. I didn't know that I was overpaying, and extortion started coming. So they placed this fear inside of me, and I'm so shocked because they would ask me to step aside, and I would be the only one stepping aside, and the bus driver would be on like, "Pom, bro, we gotta go, otherwise we'll leave you behind."
So I
just like, okay, how much? Then I just pay. But when I got to Bamako, the capital of Mali, I was short of transport to get to cross to Senegal. I was like, I didn't know that I was just overpaying, and so the only option I had was to sell my phone or I go back home. And for me, I was like, no, I can't go back home. Don't see me as a failure. You traveled. We heard you were going for battle and you came back. What happened? No, so I was like, okay, what can I do? The only option I had was to sell my phone. So I sold my phone for 50,000 cefas. I can never forget. And
do you know how much that would be in pounds?
In pounds, that would be about, I think, 50,000 cefas was equivalent to, I think, 75,000 naira. Then in pounds, it'd be around, let's say 45 quid. Yeah. 45.
Oh, 45. Okay.
Yeah. So that will take me to join the last bus to Dakar.
Okay.
Because they were like, if you cannot pay to join this last bus, if this bus goes, you have to wait till the next day. So I had no option. I had to just sell my phone. So I sold my phone, which was the only proof that I had that I was going, because the mail was there, the invitation letter was there. So I sold my phone.
Wait, where did you sell it?
On the road.
Just to someone.
I just saw someone. I'm like, guy, what's up? And the guy was like, I don't understand. And all of them, they understand English, But once they see that I am naive, they switch. They say, no, they don't understand English. I'm like, what's going on? But you heard me say, the first conversation was open until when they heard me say, I need help. English? No. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Yeah. So the guy was like, Nigeria? I said, yes. Yoruba? I said, yes, I speak Yoruba. So we were able to have this conversation. He was like, I can help you sell your phone. I said, help me. So he sold it. He gave me the money. I had to run back to the bus station, paid, and I was the last person to get into the bus. So luckily I got into the bus. I didn't know how to speak to people. I was just all by myself. I had small change with me to just get biscuits and coffee because I didn't understand their food. My mindset was just to get to Senegal, get to the competition, dance, and hopefully I win the competition. So after all of that, then I got to the last border into Senegal. So when I got there, that was the final check. So they told everybody to come down. I already knew that I was going to step aside again. And the bus conductors also, they knew that they would ask this boy to step aside. Yeah,
here we go, yeah.
Bro, you wasted our time. So by the time they called me again and they asked me to step aside, I just knew that, man, it's about to go down. But this time it was serious because they asked me to step aside. They took me to their station and they requested for my bag to be brought out of the bus. Because they wanted to have a proper checkup on me. Yeah. That was where I got stripped naked, took everything I was wearing on. They said I must have a valid identity card. And I was like, I've been crossing all the way from Ghana to Ivory Coast to Burkina Faso to, I passed all of these borders and all I did was to pay. So I think just let me pay and go. And they were like, no. That I need to have a valid identity card. And I had my passport, but I had to hide it because I was so scared that they would seize it. Because after all of the fear that I've been, all of the hatred that I've been shown, I was so scared to release my passport to them because I can't trust them. So I told them that I don't have a passport. That was where they locked me up in the station for I think I was there for 45 minutes. Then the boss was already going to go, but I felt like for some reason they felt like this guy have been going through a whole lot. I don't know. So they came down and started to plead on my behalf.
The bus drivers.
Yes, the bus drivers. They were like, just let this guy go. I think we've
seen him.
We've seen a whole lot. So just let him go. And they were like, only on one condition. I need to call to prove, or I need a phone. I was like, I sold my phone. They were like, I said, lie. You are one of them. You Nigerians, you guys are one of them. So luckily for me, I had to write down Dexter's number on my off from my phone into a piece of paper.
When you sold
it, them. Yeah, before I sold the phone.
Right.
Yeah, so I now showed the number to the guy. So the guy called immediately. Called Dexter. And Dexter was like, "We've been expecting these guys for 4 days. Please let him cross.
Let him go."
And then they said they still won't let me cross unless there's a certain amount of payment. So Dexter made the payments, off from Senegal into. He made the transfer, and that was how they called me out and gave me back my clothes. I put on my clothes, and then I got to Senegal the night before the battle. And I was like, crazy. How am I going to do this? So I had to go back into battle mode, started to arrange all of my materials together. Yeah. I'm like, I can't come here and lose. I can't lose after all I've been through.
Oh my God.
And the day of the battle, which was the next day, I got there the 9th into the next day, which was the day of the battle. And I woke up in the morning, 9 a.m. Then I start to lab. I start to work on all of my materials, and the battle started. And while they were doing all of the pickings and all of the random pickings, I met the toughest guy in Senegal.
In the first round?
In the first round. I was like, no. And people were like, this is supposed to be the finals. Why doing this now? And we had 4 ties. The first one was a tie. The second was a tie. The third, because they didn't know how to let the best person go off just like that.
Yeah.
And they were like, show us more. So it was really, really the tightest one for me. After I knocked him out, I had to rush to the bathroom and I threw up. I was just throwing up. And then I finished. I'm like, okay. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. We're just going and all of the battle, and that's how I knocked everybody out and I became champion.
You won?
I won.
Yeah. I didn't know where the story was going. I was like, am I going to cry at the end of this? No, okay, you won.
Yeah, I was like, it's like a movie.
Yeah. I'm telling you. And then I won. And Dexter was like, bro, man, you made it. See you next year at the Eyez. But fortunately, the next year was COVID. That was 2020. So I couldn't really travel. But that transition for me, kind of like, I went back home and I started to question myself that, what is this whole thing between we Africans? I think there's so much that we need to talk about, because I could hear them saying, your government did this. So I realized that there is really this thing called intra-African strife. So I checked Nigeria versus Ghana. There's something that happened some time ago where the Nigerians kicked the Ghanaians out. That was years ago. And I realized that I think they say somewhere in their heart, they still have this hurt in them, that your government did this to us years ago. So they kind of like unknowingly throw that aggression, to their fellow black person without even thinking about what is, what is at stake. So then I started to make my research. I also checked Rwanda and Congo. I checked all the beef. I checked Eritrea, and so I started to make my research, and I see that a lot of Africans have this intra-African strife within them. Nigeria and South Africa, the beef, and I realized that also the Nigerian jollof versus the Ghanaian jollof, it is beyond the jollof rice. It is beyond all of that.
It's like more deeper.
It's more deeper. It's more political.
Yeah.
That is why they want to claim they are the best, and this one also wants to claim that they're the best. So I kind of like think about all of that. Then when I came back, the just concluded election in my country made me realize that we are still in a tribalistic era, where there's still so much separation. I'm like, nobody's talking about this. We just ignore all of this. Because me traveling from Nigeria to Senegal, I was scared for my life. I thought I was going to die, So that kind of like brought back the consciousness of, I think there's so much that we can do as a people, as Africans. But because of all of this, people are scared to travel by road. And when you don't have the money for flights, that collaboration ends with the next person. So collaboration within the African body is almost impossible. And then the flight price from Nigeria to Senegal is equivalent to the flight price from Nigeria to London. No. Almost the same. So you see how difficult it is for the African bodies to have this collaboration. So Elephant in the Room is a piece of me saying, we as artists, I think it's time for us to have this conversation. Who needs to apologize to who? Who needs to say sorry to who? The governors or who? Who wants to set the table up so we can have this conversation? Who is ready to be vulnerable, to speak and say, my people did this to your people years ago. We are sorry. Let's get back together. So collaboration can start to flow, So that's what the piece is really about. So the piece is about me saying, as Africans, let us wake up. As Africans, let's start to have these conversations. Let's have let's start the restoration. Let's restore back all that has been taken away, but with love. So I was just coming from the creative point of view. This is why collaboration is almost impossible within the African body. So that's what the piece is really about.
Wow, dude, you sell that piece really well.
Wow.
That is, now I really want to see the piece.
So that's what the piece is really about.
That's amazing though. And it's such a, like, I think like a lot of times with pieces, I think there's different, if I'm critiquing pieces, there's a lot of different things I ask where it's like, why is dance the medium for this? Or also, why are you the person to tell this story? And I feel like this is like, sounds amazing for the piece because it's like, you're the best person to tell this story, And it's like, I think that's who we want to hear from. Sometimes like I don't know if you feel the same. Like sometimes I see pieces and I'm like, cool, but like, I don't want to hear this from you. Like we've spoken about this before on the pod, but like, I think, this, not only are you the one like experiencing it, but like you realized it in a very big moment, you know what I mean? And like, like, I feel I haven't even seen it or I haven't even seen anything about the piece, but already it's like, I want to see the piece because I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to like it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it comes from such a real place that it's like, it's not about, now I'm not going to look and say, oh, I would have used this move there. It's like, this is really your experience that you're sharing. And I think it's like, it's hard to argue with like somebody's authentic experience, So I A lot of people see it, and I hope you. What's the plans with it? Like that, or your new piece? Are you trying to bring it over here, or?
Yeah, I mean that's why we're trying to connect all the dots. My friend here has been trying to help me say, okay, I will help you speak to people. I'll let you know. So let's start with what we can start with. So the piece is ready to go out right now. We've had the premiere last year. That was where Steph.
Oh, that was the premiere.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, so that was the premiere, and she was like, "Oh no, why can't you bring this to London? I love it. Anytime you come into London, let me know." I'm like, "Okay, you know." So I think the piece is ready. I mean, it's ready to fly.
Amazing. And I don't know if you want to take the mic. You don't have to if you don't want to. But is there anything you can say about like where you want to tour, or people that maybe might be listening that would want to, that we could appeal to?
It needs to come to London first.
Okay.
For sure.
And any type of like venues here that you'd be particularly interested in sharing it, or partners?
I mean, the Lily and Baylis would be a good place to start. I
Cool.
think.
Nice.
Yeah, or the place, somewhere like that.
Cool. All right. That's amazing. Yeah, I really hope we can. Jen, do you have any ideas, like hearing that actually on your with your producer brain, where you would?
Well, it's difficult because it's like, for me, it's also about like, it's difficult to place it in a venue when you haven't seen it.
Sure.
Like, because, you know, sometimes it's also about like technically what it needs, but also, you know, I feel like there's some pieces that are really made like better with like proximity, you know, so that like if it's 800 or 900 seats, like it doesn't go as well. Sometimes more intimate. Sometimes it's like, also the kind of like you know, the kind of venue and what is a good fit in terms of what they're promoting or what they're pushing.
Right, the message of the venue.
Yeah,
as well.
like I think, you know, all those things kind of make it like, I mean, I have a bit of background, but I feel like all these things are more like part of the thinking of where a piece goes, as opposed to like, oh yeah, well, there's a piece and there's a venue, but sometimes it's more like in the
partnership,
the synchronicity, and also what kind of space the piece needs.
Sadler's East.
That would be the dream.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that theater is beautiful.
Yeah,
to be
and
honest,
this is the thing. I mean, even with London, is like that can be challenging. Is that, you know, and the reason why Sadler's exists is that there's not a lot of mid-scale venues. You know, so it's like you go small scale or large scale. Yeah. So it's like 100, 200 seats or 1,000. Like, there's something.
Lily and Baylis is 180, I think.
Yeah,
and then Sadler's Sadler's here is what?
Like 1,500.
Wow, yeah. So then, and Sadler's East is like
450. 550, I think.
550. There we go.
But I think it's like a modular changes. But also, it's like you know, when you have smaller venues, sometimes that are like 100, 200, 300. It's like then sometimes they don't also have like
the capacity,
like bringing international pieces might be difficult. So I think it's like that's something to navigate, and that like, you know, it's good to start have like with Sadler's East, but it's good to have more of these mid-scale venues that you know still have a certain sense of intimacy, and you know also like has more capacity to like accommodate not to say like the place brings international acts or international companies all the time, but there's not many other venues that are that size in London that are programming internationally.
Well, I mean, if you've got Steph on your side, that's already a good step for bringing stuff here. Dude, all right. So, well, I really hope to see that piece. I hope it comes to London, and like anyone that's listening, or, you know, anyone that knows anyone that might be of help, please, we'll leave your like email address or anything in the description. So please reach out. I mean, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm
Thank you
like,
so much.
That story is wild. That's a great story. But yeah, I really hope, you know, you continue to have success with the piece and with the work that you do. It sounds really exciting, and I love like, again, I haven't seen too much of like your work or that, but I love the place that it comes from, you know. I think you can't really hate something that comes from such an authentic and good place. So I'm really excited to see more from you for sure, man.
Yeah. We're ready to work. I mean, that is what happens to you when you start to realize and you start to see your purpose right in front of you. You cannot just joke with the reason why you're here. You cannot just gamble with it. It's either you tell this story to, to kind of like reintroduce the next person's purpose in his or her life, and start to also open doors for people. So and again, it has Krump in it, which is also a strong side of it, because also the story that came from Krump, and how Krump is also being slept on where I'm from. So I decided to also use Krump and also AfroBuck, to kind of make the work really strong. So and since then it's been each time I perform the piece, because I had like an experiment before you went on stage. It's always, even for me, it's always like a journey. It's this fear that comes, like, oh man, I'm about to run this journey again,
Yeah.
And that's how you know that it's something that's very solid.
Yeah. For sure. Amazing, man. Well, thank you for coming through. I
Thank
really,
you
really
too.
appreciate your time, and looking forward to seeing the piece.
Yeah, sure.
And like I said, anyone that's listening that might be interested, definitely reach out. We'll leave contact details in the description. And where can they check out more of your work? Instagram, YouTube, where's the best?
Right, I have a few stuff on YouTube, very few, but I mean, I have some cut out some materials also on my page about what I do, what I'm interested in, what my purpose is. You can see from my page and can tell, I think this person is a conscious artist. So
Okay, nice. So Instagram more.
Yeah.
What's your page? Tell the people what the page is.
At Pray For Addy. Like pray, Pray, the number 4, then ADDY.
Yeah. We'll also leave that in the description. And cool. Thanks again for coming through.
I appreciate, man.
Bro, I really appreciate it, man. This has been a great episode. I really enjoyed this. Regular capsule listeners, definitely go and check out Addy and his work and all the rest of the stuff that he does. And people that are here from Addy, Nigerian community, please check out more of what we do. This is the capsule. And we'll catch you guys next week.
All right.
Peace, guys.
Bye.
Okay, so that was a really cool episode with Addy. I like him. He's a good guest.
Yeah,
huh?
he was great.
Yeah, that was cool. I think you guys, are going to enjoy that / have already enjoyed that because you're listening to it now. Or you've just listened to it is what I meant. Anyway.
And now we have a new guest.
Spicy's in the place. What up? We have Spicey from Montreal in the place. And we also have Jenny Lou now on camera, even though she was off camera.
Yeah.
But she needs to show you how she doesn't speak into mics. And she can't do that from behind the camera.
Exactly.
Jenny has a habit of like, whenever we put the mic, it's like she's always going to talk like this or like. And it's like, Jen, the mic. She's like, oh yeah, so basically what is it? This is like it's the tradition of the podcast. It would be bad luck if you actually spoke into the mic.
Okay. Let's get to the topics.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about.
Wait, but should we introduce Spicy properly
Yeah,
first?
go.
Yeah. I mean, I know you might or might not decide to unleash the word, but for people who don't know, Spicey is really like a pioneer, like kind of a pillar of the community in Montreal in so many different ways. I think like most kind of the people come, or what people say the most is that she founded Bus to Move, which was like ran from 2005 to 2015.
Exactly, yeah.
And at that point, it was like the biggest battle in North America. But, now she also creates her own theater work. But besides that, she's like taught and mentored so many dancers in Montreal and just has been like such a huge integral, like not necessarily like, not even necessarily like, yes, as a teacher, but as a resource on so many different levels. Like, that people go to for advice, for counsel, for guidance about the dance, but also about like how to contribute in a meaningful way, how to navigate certain situations. So it's like so much beyond the practice of dance, although that's what kind of brings everybody together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the scene in Montreal wouldn't be what it is or where it is if Spicey wasn't there.
Thank you.
So-
We love you, Spicy.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
No, sometimes people call me and they just scream.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they talk about, but they just,
Yeah.
they're mad about something or emotional about something, and I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I do the same too. I call people and I just,
Yeah. It happens to the best of us. Listen.
It does.
the best
It
of us.
does happen to the best of us. I'm happy to have you here.
thank you for having me.
I know like this is maybe not the time and place and day that you want to have like a full on conversation, but hopefully we, get to do that. I'm coming back to Joe, so maybe there we could do a little episode. Also on that, just to shout out to Preach, because we just put out his episode from Joe and it's doing quite well and people seem to enjoy it. So
what a nut.
It's so funny, like all the comments on like Insta and on YouTube are like, how did you get Preach on? Like, because people don't just know him from YouTube or whatever, or so they're like, how the hell what a random crossover.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's totally the best.
He's funny.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad to have you in the house. And I mean, I didn't grow up in the Montreal scene, but you've always been super nice to me, and and I think you're wonderful.
I like you very much. Jen knows that.
You're all right.
You have not been always very nice to me.
Okay. Well,
that's a different story.
let's get on to the topic.
Shout out Montreal though. Joe, we're coming back. Jack of all trades. I can't wait to come back. It was I almost wasn't going to come back, and I was like, no, that was probably one of the best trips that was the best trip of the year. So love Montreal. Feel very at home there. Waldo's episode is coming out soon also. But on that episode he said, because I kept saying like about Montreal being my city-in-law and stuff. Yeah. And he says on the episode that he said, no, Montreal's your city now too. So I'm taking that as like, when the mayor gives you like the key to the city. Yeah. I'm like, Waldo gave me the key to the city. Like, I'm from Montreal now too.
If Waldo says it, then
there you go. I have to go through the heads of Montreal scene and get their permission, like get everybody's blessing and like kiss the ring and say, can I be from Montreal now too?
Well, you definitely, and as far as I'm concerned, definitely in the city. Montreal loves you, and you're part of the city. That's it.
That's two. That's two of the Mount Rushmore. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I love Montreal so much. Okay, so there's just a couple of things that we wanted to talk about before we end the episode. Great interview with Addy, but I didn't want to leave you without current affairs, or what I really mean is I wanted to have my moment to talk. No, the two things I want to talk about is, first of all, one thing that I was talking to Jenny about that I thought was something I wanted to share on the pod is like Future was in town, and if you haven't seen Future's Judge demo that he did in London, it is fantastic. I would recommend checking it out. It's not, for those that know Future, it's not out of the ordinary of him. It's not like he did anything more than he usually does or whatever. But I think seeing it in real life is always something different. He's amazing. But I think my thing, here's my unprocessed thoughts. Future, his Judge demo, I mean, he was doing like crazy like tuts and like lying on the floor and playing and like doing kind of like playing with the camera and like all sorts of different crazy stuff. And he's so creative and different, and like he just like, I don't know, he reminds me of Slim a little bit actually, not in the way they dance, but also just in the way that they're just having fun with shit. It's like, okay, I can do tuts and I can do, what's the coolest, funnest way I can put it between my legs on the floor, lying down, like even with the music, like he looked like he was having fun. And what I was thinking when I was watching it, and I was like, I'm going to have to talk about this on the pod, is like, for me, Future's one of the most well-researched, like well-trained poppers with the deepest like understanding of the style. Like, if you had to put it in like layers, he'd in my opinion would be in the top layer of people that you could go to of like, he's not just a good dancer, like he knows so much, and he knows a history, and he knows why this and this came from here, and he's like really well researched and understands the style. And if someone like him can have fun with popping and play, I don't know what everyone else's excuse is, because it's like, I don't know if it's a European thing, but I mean, I could point the finger at other places as well. But like, where it's like foundation and being a good technical popper, in my opinion, is like, people like, it's almost like an excuse for being boring. Like, not to be a dick about it, but that's what this podcast is. No, but like, it's like an excuse for being boring. It's like, okay, you're doing just this base, and it's like, yeah, but that's foundation, and I'm doing it because it's this and that, and it's like, it doesn't mean just because you're doing a very, a foundational approach to the style, it doesn't mean you can't play and have fun and make it look and be creative. Do you know what I mean? And I think like this is the thing where it's like Future's a great example of that, because it's like, you know, there's people that it's like, yeah, I guess like doing foundations doesn't mean only doing 2 or 3 moves exactly as the OGs did it in exactly those ways and just, you know, recycling them. It's like you take a foundation or a way of, and this is also the thing, if you really deeply understand something, you're able to be creative with it without losing the foundation of what it is. And like, you know, even Addy was talking about that with like language and stuff like that. It's like, if you can speak a language really well, you can play with it, you can talk the slang. Like it's, you know, I'm learning French at a very slow rate, admittedly. But like, say for you guys, like, I don't know how early on you spoke English, but I know Jen spoke English at like 12 or whatever. But it's like, it must have been not easy to like, okay, you learn English and then immediately start speaking slang or changing words. It's like, you really got to get a grip of the language first. And I think Future's a great example of that in dance, where it's like, because he understands so deeply the style, he doesn't have to think about, okay, this foundation, or even show us necessarily, oh, this is from this and I'm doing this in the way that the OGs did it. It's like, he's just doing the style, and he's so fluent that he can be creative, he can say certain things, he can have the slang of the style, he can, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I just think it's like, I think more people should look at people like Future. I mean, MT is also an example of that, but he's like younger in the game. But like people that are like really well, again, like Slim was one of those. It's like nobody's ever criticized Slim Boogie of not being good at popping. Like he understands the style, but he doesn't look like any other popper. Like he just plays and has fun and is creative.
But you know, I think that this is like you know, like, okay, in my interpretation, and not maybe I'll get cussed for it, but it's like, I think that, you know, battles are a big part of why that might not be happening as much.
Oh, 100%
like,
agreed.
Yeah, you know, and I think like if you look at places like, you know, I'm not saying that one is better than the other because it's different. But it's like, if you look at places like the US or even Canada to a certain extent.
Montreal's a great example
where
of this.
it's like battles are like, they happen, but they're a lot less of a like
driving force.
Driver of why people dance and why people go out and like why people train. And I mean, like, anyways, I feel like from my time, and you know, you're more like there currently, but I think it's like in Europe, it's such a universe in its own that is kind of like, okay, I train to go battle. And I think it's like when you kind of enter into the code of a battle of like, oh, well, this is what I have to do to win, or this is the kind of thing, the kind of dancer that I have to be to do well, then you start like conforming to a certain like criteria of what you think it could be. And it's like, you know, arguably there's people that like kind of are really creative and like Slim and whatever that are also really well known, but I think there's much more of a practice of creativity being at the forefront.
Yep, agreed.
In certain parts of the world, whereas I feel like in Europe, and I felt that when I came here, of like it being so like battle and competition driven.
Yeah.
And of like, you know, even in this, like I remember the first time I was like sessioning with people here that I was kind of like finding it really hard because like people just want to do a round like they were going to do in a battle in a session.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, it is, you know, like you can make the decision and be intentional about just being, okay, I'm going to be more creative and try to like, you know, not only practice the dance, but push the dance, you know, but I just think it's not interesting, but I think like culturally there's like certain places where that's more at the forefront.
Anyway, I don't know how much of that will stay in the pod, but I thought that was an interesting topic. Yeah, so the other thing that I was going to talk about was the t-shirt that I'm wearing. I don't know how to say that. Benthe? Company Benthe.
Yeah.
But Rokesh Udat, formerly known as Joker, Theo, I think his name is. He put on a piece in Bondi, which is a suburb of Paris. I think they had a few performances. One of them was in Bondi. So I went to see his piece called Doom, which I was hoping I would get to see at some point, but it just so happened that it was in Paris. But yeah, it was a really nice piece, I thought. I was telling you a little bit about it.
Yes.
idea of the piece, as far as I understood, or like from what I read, was like it's different. How do you say that? Like different interpretations or applications of like how of time, and like how people interact with the concept of time, I think is the best way I can say it. And it was really interesting. Like there was like a kind of almost like walking in rush hour, like they were walking around and bumping into each other and stuff. And they have this whole thing with like sun loungers, you know, the things you'd have by the pool. Like they have 4 of them in the piece, and they pull them out, and there is a whole section where they're kind of like lying down and relaxing, and that builds into a whole thing. And like there's loads of different like you could say it's kind of like vignettes, like little
like scenes.
Yeah, scenes. It does flow really well. It doesn't feel like bitty, if that makes sense, but it is like a nice long piece. But yeah, it does have like, it's kind of different scenes, and they have different, I guess each one is a different interpretation of the idea of time, I would say. I mean, listen, I'm already biased because this guy's one of my favorite like choreographers. Like I love his dance, his choreography is like, I'm a very biased person on his thing, but being objective, I thought it was a really good piece. And one thing I said to you is like, he's done such a good job of like, the transmission of his movement quality and his style of dance. Like when the rest of the dancers were doing like their solos or like doing even the unison parts, I was like, oh my God, they look exactly like him. And they've like nailed like even the dynamics of like the movement. I think, which is when you have someone that's really unique, is really hard. That's like one of the hardest parts, is to like train the dancers to look like, to like do your movement and embody your movement well. And I thought he nailed that. Like they all danced really well. You said Will was in it?
I think so, yeah, I believe.
Yeah. Will, what's his second name? Or who?
Well,
I know him as Mad Will.
Yeah, I guess we can go Mad Will. I don't know if he has his government name out there.
Yeah,
So
well, I'm sure he does. He's not a criminal. But yeah, there was some of the people in the piece were really good. You know what it made me think of randomly? I meant to say this to Joker, but Rokesh, I'm saying it now. There's a Black Mirror episode. I think it's called Alta Vista. Did you watch Black Mirror?
Yeah, all of it. But now, okay, I don't know if I remember everything.
You know the one where they're like, it's the 2 old ladies and they're like, it's like they're living in the, like they take their memories or something and they live in like like it's like the time doesn't exist basically.
Yeah, okay.
You remember the one? And it's like, I think they have like a lesbian relationship in the thing, and it's like do you remember the one?
I mean, it rings a bell.
And it's like this, like there's like a club, like it's almost like a Miami sort of town, and they live there, but really they're in a hospital bed somewhere.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Rings a bell.
I think it's
Yeah,
called
they're
Alta
like
Vista.
in a retirement. They're in a retirement home.
But like in their head kind of
Okay.
thing. So like they think that they're young, they're like 25 living their life, but they're in a retirement home, just like plugged into the machine kind of thing. And it made me think of that because there's a lot of like this sort of like, especially the music is sort of like, I guess like old
like retro.
retro feeling to it. And they've got the sun lounges, and like, it's not exactly the story that he meant, but like it kept making me think of it, of like, it feels like different ways that people could be interpreting like time, but also like mortality. And like, you know, like they're in the sun lounges and they're doing like repetitive movements, and it's like almost like, oh, I want to stay here. And there's a few like pictures as well that was like, there's like someone in a sun lounger with like, and they're all around them like holding their hand, and I was like, oh, this feels like that person is like in the retirement home and you're coming to visit. There was so many things I was like, oh, this is really making me think of the that Black Mirror episode. But anyway, yeah, it was a really nice piece. What else can I say about it? I think the venue that I saw it in was lovely, but it wasn't like a full kitted out theater. So I think there's more. I would love to see it like in a like full scale theater to see kind of the different lighting options he would have played with. I think it was more limited than maybe, that would be my suspicion, is that I think he's got more like to it than that. But yeah, just wanted to say really dope work. I was happy to get to see it. Really like, oh, this is the other thing I was going to say, is like the stuff that he, I think, likes. He's very like, I mean, even when he was doing hip hop battles and stuff, the stuff that he likes is all this kind of like tracing and
Tracing,
threads
okay.
and this type of stuff, which I love as well, which is what draws me to his work. But one thing that he's like so much more mature about than I ever would have been is like, I think I was saying this to Jen of like, I don't know if I said it to you or my mum, but like that, you know, the sort of person like, or like a kid when you can eat sweets, like candies, and they're going to eat the whole bag until they feel sick.
Yeah.
Or like an adult maybe, or not me, but like other adults would be like, okay, I'm just going to have 2 and stop. And then I'm going to wrap up the bag and put it away. Yeah. And you're like, how do you not just eat the whole bag until you feel sick? Like I would. He's like that with his cool movement. Me, if I have similar tastes, but I can't move like him. If I could do that, my whole piece would be non-stop threads and tracing.
But it could be super. That's interesting.
That would be,
like
but that's what I love about, you know, and not that it's like a negative version, but like something like maybe Tentacle Tribe or some of these other pieces, even like Sadek with all of his stuff. That's the sweets till you feel sick. It's just, you love this thing, I'm going to give you an hour of it, which I love. And like, I've loved like Origami Mummy, because it's like a whole piece of the shit that I love, right? Whereas Joker's is like, he's really Roque, she changed his name, is really like selective with his moments. The piece isn't full of it, but then the moments where it comes, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the stuff, you know? And it's like, I was like, oh, you're a better man than I am, because like my whole piece would be just that stuff. But yeah, he's really good at like, and he even, you know, repeats certain, he's like good at just, I think he sees beyond, oh, this looks cool, which is maybe my downfall. I just want to see the shit that looks cool. Because like he'll take something that looks cool and like repeat it, build on it. It's a lot more mature work. But he's also worked with a lot of like big choreographers and like, you know what I mean? All right, well, thanks guys for listening. Love you all. Hope you're all happy and well in your hearts. No,
love you, miss
yeah,
you.
we've got some cool episodes lined up in future, so please, or in the coming week. So yeah, keep locked. Thank you for everyone that tuned into the last episodes and have been tuning in. Yeah, I don't know.
See you next time.
See you next time. Peace, guys.